Hello, listeners, and welcome to another episode of Financial Autonomy for Women, the podcast. My name is Maureen Paley. I am a life, career, and financial coach, and I am your host for this podcast. I'm so excited to talk with you today. The title of today's podcast is Just Because You Make Good Money Doesn't Mean You're Off the Hook for These Things. So much to talk about today. I can't wait to dive in. So, making good money, it's huge. It's a big deal. We all want to make good money, right? Maybe you're making good money right now, and maybe you came from a family of origin, a neighborhood, a community, a socioeconomic class where people weren't making what we would call good money. So, if you are in that position, hooray, congratulations. This is very good news. If you are not in that position and aspire to be, hooray, congratulations. This is very good news. Aspiring to a higher level of income is always a good thing. Why? Because we know that a higher level of income helps us not just meet our survival needs, but it helps us thrive. It helps us care for our loved ones. It helps us do the things that light us up and lift us up every day. So this is a very important aspiration for us to have. So if you are someone who is making good money, I'm here as a financial coach to suggest, if you've listened to the podcast, you know that I don't like to tell people what to do. That's not what I do as a coach. But I do think if you are making really good money or making just straight up good money, it doesn't mean that you're off the hook for two things specifically. The first one is knowing where the money is going. That's really important. You make good money comes into your checking account, and then it's got to go out into the world. So do you know where the money is going? Chances are your money's probably going to some places that it might be hard to organize in your head, right? Think about all the streaming devices and the monthly subscriptions and so on and so forth that we have running 12 months a year, all day, every day. It's really hard to keep track of, to be totally honest. There are so many ways that we can send our money out into the world these days with double tapping, clicking, buy now, setting up a monthly debit, monthly installment payment, so on and so forth. It is no wonder that it might be a little bit hard to keep all of that in our brain. So the first thing that we're not off the hook on is knowing where the money is going. We still need to know where our money is going. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. The second thing that we're not off the hook on is building wealth. And this brings up the fact that making good money doesn't mean that you're making wealth. They're two different things. Making good money means that you've got healthy cash flow, right? You've got cash flow. You've got a healthy amount of money coming in your income into your checking account. And wealth building is a different project altogether. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So why are we not off the hook for these things? Well, let's remember, as self-identified women, we are not paid as much as our male counterparts, right? On average for women, based on the most recent US Census data, it's 82 cents to a man's dollar for the exact same resume, for the exact same qualifications. We have to work more than a full year of work to make as much as our male counterparts make. We're only making 82 cents where they are making a full dollar. When you take an intersectional lens and you add in the factors of racial identity, cultural heritage, etc., it's even more of an egregious income gap for women of color. So we know that that's what we're starting out with. We're not getting paid the same that our male counterparts are. And what that eventually leads to, because income is the initial building block for long-term wealth, because we're not making dollar for dollar what men are making, the gender wealth gap exists. That means that we are not actually able to amass, to build the wealth that our male counterparts are. And here's another reason. So there isn't that income equality. There is also not the wealth equality based on gender. Also, women tend to outlive men. And I think the data was most recently revised. We are at least going to outlive men by 6 years. So here's the thing. During my working years, I'm not making as much as my male counterparts, which I can't put away in my retirement, in my investments, in my savings. I can't build as much wealth as my male counterparts. And then in my later years, when I can't work anymore, my working years are finished, and I have to rely on the wealth that I've built, I'm going to outlive my male counterpart. So we have a case here of persistent income inequality, wealth building inequality, and then the reality that we usually live longer. And in our later years, we need to pay usually for the care to help us live our lives and maintain our independence. So this is why we can't let ourselves off the hook, even if we are making good money today. So let me start with the first thing that we can't let ourselves off the hook for. Even if you're making really good money, you still need to know where the money is going. Here's a few reasons why. When you are making good money, you've got a healthy paycheck coming into your checking account, and it goes out into the world to pay for your necessities, and then all the extras, all the fun things that you like to do. You're making good money. Maybe you can take an extra vacation during the year. Maybe you can buy nicer furniture. Maybe you can remodel parts of your house that you live in. Maybe there's a hobby that requires finances to support it, right? Maybe you like adventure and you like to go on expeditions, or you like to spend your money to live a certain lifestyle that helps you feel good. These are all excellent, wonderful things. What we're not off the hook on, though, is where the money is going. Here's why. When we don't know where our money is going, we are that much more vulnerable to being on autopilot. Autopilot with our money and with sending our money out into the world is different from automating how our money goes out into the world. It's okay to do automatic bill pay and so on and so forth. But when we're on autopilot with where the money is going, we lose a sense of control. So we need to track where the money is going so that we understand if you are someone who is walking around saying, well, I know I make good money, but I just don't know where it goes. Ding, ding, ding. This is a big red flag that you, in particular, even more so need to know where the money is going. That feeling of, I know I make good money, but I don't know where it all goes, is a big indicator that you are feeling a certain level of dis-ease about your finances. And in order to get yourself into a healthier space around your finances, knowing where the money is going is an excellent prescription to help you heal from that dis-ease. So it's going to help you feel more confident, more in control, and just grounded more in your overall financial wellness. Because if you are making good money, you're doing good, right? You want to step into and feel that financial wellness, and knowing where the money is going to do a few things for you. First of all, you get to see, and this is, I recommend, doing it by hand, doing it on a spreadsheet, doing it on an app, so on and so forth. I actually don't really care which way you do it. I just care that you do it because what it's going to do is you can see what's really going on, because chances are the story that you're telling yourself in your head about where your money is going and the reality of where the money is going on paper are two different things. And so when you write it down or put it in a spreadsheet, so on and so forth, you are actually going to see what is really going on with your money and where it's going. Knowing where the money is going is how we get in touch with reality. When we're in touch with reality, then we can take real action to fix what's not feeling good for us. So knowing where the money is going is really us getting in touch with the reality of our financial situation. It helps us move from the dis-ease of, gosh, I know I make good money, but I don't know where it goes. Now you're really going to know where it goes. And full disclosure, this can feel like putting a big, scary spotlight on things you might not want to put a big, scary spotlight on. It's going to show your softer, vulnerable parts, the things that maybe you're not proud of, the things that you like forgot about, that gym membership that you never use. And while that is uncomfortable, it's also a really healthy and really valuable thing. So we get to go from when we know where the money is going, we get to check in with reality. We get to take good medicine for that dis-ease of feeling out of control and uncomfortable and overwhelmed with our finances, to get in touch with reality so that we can take real action to fix or change or build whatever it is we want to do, build or fix or change. The other thing that it helps us do is, because we're getting more in touch with reality, we will gain insights about our spending decisions. We will gain insights about our habits and behaviors. I guarantee you, if you track where your money is going, you're going to be surprised by at least 3 things about where the money is going. You're going to have like 3 aha moments at the very least, where you say to yourself, oh my goodness, I really don't use that fill in the blank membership. Wow, I completely forgot about fill in the blank charges to your credit card, so on and so forth. Again, that's the reality check that helps you get checked in to what's really going on, and then you can make the decisions to change. Knowing where the money is going is also a great way to it's like you can hack into your values. So let's say you are tracking where your money is going month to month, and you see that you spend $300 on DoorDash every month, right? Before you go into a shame place on this, let's think about it. So if someone's going to DoorDash, or if someone's spending $300 on DoorDash, or, fill in the blank every month, and they're feeling uncomfortable once they see that number, that discomfort is a gift. We can use it again to check in with reality and take real action to fix it. But number 2, let's also think about, who that person might be. Maybe it's a woman, a single mother, someone who values family and togetherness, and DoorDash several times a week, several times a month is a way for her to alleviate the stress of having to put a meal together, and a way that she can love her family and create togetherness and bonding for everybody involved. Maybe that's the story of the $300 a month DoorDash. There's nothing wrong with that. What we want to pay attention to is where we are uncomfortable, the number that shows up after we know where the money is going, and the discomfort that causes. Why is it uncomfortable? What's it telling me? Why am I spending this much in this area? What does it actually get me? Well, if the answer is, it helps me provide a meal for my family where we can connect and have an experience of togetherness, and I don't have to feel so stressed because I'm already stressed, that is a very good rationale. These are very good reasons. So what might be the answer for that person about the real action that they want to take to change? Well, is the answer, oh, you can't order DoorDash ever again, no more ever again? I, as a coach, am not a believer in big black and white moves like that, especially if there's a really good reason why you might be spending in that area to begin with, right? So first we got to investigate, what's the discomfort there? What is the benefit we get from spending our money like that? And what is a happy balance medium where I can retain the benefit that I get from that spending activity, and also get more in line with a more comfortable spending amount that doesn't have me feeling so uncomfortable? That's the type of benefit that knowing where the money is going can provide you. So that's what we mean when we talk about checking in reality, big scary spotlight on the truth, getting those aha moments, and really taking a look at why you're spending in that area, how it benefits you, and what is the new happy, medium, balanced amount you want to get to so that you feel better about that spending. This is the power of knowing where the money is going. When we feel better about our spending, even when we're making good money, right? When we feel better about our spending, we feel much more grounded, in control, and we experience peace of mind about our money instead of overwhelm, chaos, and anxiety. So that's part one. Just because you make good money doesn't let you off the hook on knowing where the money is going. That's part one. Part two, just because you make good money doesn't let you off the hook of wealth building. Wealth building and making good money are two different things. They are two different activities. They are two different projects. When I make good money, that's a cash flow story. I've got good money. I've got a real healthy paycheck coming into my checking account, maybe a couple times a month, once a week, what have you. Money comes in, and that's the money that I use to send out into the world. So money comes in, money goes out. That's cash flow, in and out, in and out, in and out. Building wealth is a different exercise. It's a different project altogether. So a lot of the ways that you might be building wealth now is maybe making that good money is part of having a full-time job where you're salaried and you have benefits and you're contributing to your retirement, so on and so forth. This is a very good thing. If that's the case for you, great news. Congratulations. You have already started on the project of building wealth. And I'm here to encourage you and invite you to consider that there might be more to that project of building wealth. So what I need to do with cash flow if I want to also enter into the project of building wealth, and building wealth is a long-term game. It is not something that happens overnight. It is something that happens with consistency and time. So if you are a younger person listening to this, you have more time than I do. If you're in your 20s, if you're in your 30s, I'm in my 40s. I don't have as much time value for my money that I invest today as you do, because you have more years to get to retirement age. You are in a very, very healthy position to, even if you just really double down on this wealth building activity, because time is the biggest factor that determines wealth building success. So that's my little TED Talk, my little public service announcement for those of you who might be in your 20s and 30s. You have a huge leg up in this wealth building exercise and activity. Now, if you're in your 40s or 50s or 60s, does that mean that you've got no room to run? Absolutely not. It might mean that you need to do some catching up. It might mean that you need to allocate more of that cash flow to your wealth building. And that's what I'm here to invite you to do today. So cash flow is one story, wealth building is another story. If you are someone who is already contributing to the retirement plan through your full-time job or through your business, so on and so forth, that's excellent. Keep doing that. I will invite you to increase it. I will invite you to increase it to a level that you didn't consider before. So remember, if you are in an employer-sponsored retirement plan, you can invest up to $22,500 a year in your retirement. That is the limit. And so if you are putting away like enough to meet the match from your employer, or maybe like 6%, 7%, 8%, I'm going to encourage you to consider. I'm not telling you to do this, but consider, what would it be like if you put away 10%, 15%, 20%, depending on how much you make? What would it be like if you aimed to max out those limits? You will be doing yourself a huge benefit in wealth building. Because remember, we don't have the same income as our male counterparts. We aren't able to build wealth at the pace that they are. So it might make bigger benefits for us to make different decisions about how we build that wealth and the rate that we build it at. And then the limits for your individual retirement account limits are currently at $6,500 across your traditional IRA and your Roth IRA. So you have ways to up the volume on your current investments, no matter what age you are, so that you're able to work against, you're able to push back on the headwinds that we experience as women in wealth building. So just to recap, just because you make good money doesn't mean you're off the hook for wealth building. Making good money is a cash flow story. That's the cash flow project. You're nailing the cash flow project. But here's the thing. Wealth building, it's a different story. It's a different exercise. It's a different endeavor altogether. So we need to make sure that we are focused on the wealth building project as well, so that we can build stability long-term for us in our later years. Here are the main ways that we build wealth in this country: investing, saving, property ownership. Sending that cash flow in any of those three directions is going to help you advance your wealth. You're literally going to increase your net worth. This is a powerful thing. Think about the lists that come out, the top 10 highest net worth people, self-made, so on and so forth. What they're really taking a look at in those lists and the number that they're using to rank people is their net worth. And this is really your assets minus your liabilities. It's how much you own versus how much you owe. So the more that you own and the less that you owe, the more wealth and net worth you have. If you are needing some support in calculating your net worth, I suggest that everybody listening, all women, should calculate their net worth. Here's a few reasons why. Net worth is the key to wealth. We also are not conditioned to see ourselves as wealth builders. This comes from conditioning in childhood. And net worth might be something that you have never even considered before. You might be sitting there going, net worth, like that's for people like Oprah and, so on and so forth. Net worth, looking at your net worth and having a net worth goal is for you. This is going to do us as women a huge benefit, again, because we're working with those headwinds of the income inequity and the retirement and wealth building inequity as well. So our net worth is really the key to building wealth and keeping it. Investments, savings, and property ownership. Use that healthy cash flow from the good money that you're making. Make decisions that prioritize the wealth building. So what does this look like? This looks like, I mentioned before, maybe increasing, doubling, hitting the limit on your retirement investment contributions. This also looks like paying yourself first. This is another way of saying, I'm treating myself like the most important bill of all the bills that I have to pay. And anytime I get paid, $500 immediately goes into my savings account, or, fill in the blank. Paying yourself first means that you are prioritizing your financial wellness. It is the most important thing that you need to pay for. Property ownership. Property ownership is one of the key ways that we build wealth in this country. This is why people call it the American dream. Why? Because I get to purchase a home that I can actually leave to my community, maybe in a community trust. I can pass it down to my children, so on and so forth. This is the key to generational wealth. So while you're making good money, consider starting on the projects of property ownership, saving, and investing, because those three projects will get you to the wealth building. The thing is, Property ownership, am I going to do that overnight? No. Of course, if I'm going to buy a home, I have to save for a down payment. I have to save for closing costs, so on and so forth. These, again, are long-term commitments. And the long-term payoff is stability, safety, and the ability to pass on this wealth in your later years. If you're in your younger years, it may not sound so attractive right now. It may not sound so sexy right now, but I can't emphasize this enough. If you are in your 20s or 30s, you have such an incredible advantage with the time that you have to actually build that wealth. So if you're making good money, you're not off the hook for wealth building as well. So just to come back to where we started, we know the headwinds that we're up against: income inequality, wealth building inequality, and we are outliving our male counterparts. So what can we do to push back on those headwinds that we experience? When we make good money, we can still do two things. Rather than sticking our head in the sand and ignoring them, we need to actively choose. We need to act. We need to actively choose to work on these two projects, knowing where the money is going, which will help you understand yourself, your behaviors, your values, and also help you feel confident and have that peace of mind that the money doesn't just come in and go out and you don't know where it all goes at the end of the month. You're going to know where it goes so that, number two, you can use it to start building wealth. We talked about 3 key ways that we build wealth and net worth: property ownership, savings, and investments. When we know where the money is going, and then we choose to work on that project of building wealth, which is a long-term project, we're choosing our long-term financial stability such that we can have wealth in the long term and we can give it to whomever we decide to give it to later in life. I hope you've enjoyed everything that you've learned in this podcast. Again, check out the show notes for guidance on how to calculate your net worth. If you do anything after you listen to this episode, calculate your net worth and build a net worth plan. Start telling yourself that you are a wealth builder, because a lot of the messages that we got in childhood was that because of our gender, we're not necessarily wealth builders. So now's the time to start telling ourselves we are the wealth builders. I hope you're out there making good money. And if you are making good money, I hope you choose to act on those two things we talked about today: knowing where the money is going and building wealth. And as always with finances, be kind to yourself, seek support when you need it, and let me know how it goes. Take care. I'll see you next time.